Today we are discussing a psychological phenomena, and it's a phenomena which explains the effectiveness of astrology and personality tests.
Okay.
It's known as the Barnum Effect, but I'm not too keen on using that phrase because
Okay.
it's just a universal phenomena. It's not nothing to do with a guy named Barnum or anything.
Okay.
Just some white guy named a phenomena after himself.
Right. Not surprising at all.
Um, yeah, so this phenomena basically explains. So, when you read an astrological prediction and you think, oh, this is so accurate, this applies to myself. Astrology must be right. This guy who's making the prediction must have me spot on.
Right.
It explains the fallacy behind that thinking.
Right. Though I don't think like that, but I know a lot of people who do.
Yeah, and I put to you that the usually what happens is in these things is the thing that you're reading is it's just vague enough to apply to maybe a large fraction of humanity, lots of people,
Right.
but it's specific enough, and you think it only applies to you, and every person who reads it thinks it applies to them. But if you really think critically, it is usually true for a large section of the population.
Agreed. Agreed. Do you have an example?
Yes, I have several examples, but there's some psychologist who did this experiment on his students, and he presented them with this list of things about their personalities, which they all thought applied just to themselves. And I'll just read some of them out.
Okay.
So if I say something like if I say that about your personality, that you have a great need for other people to like and admire you, would you say that's right?
I'll say that's definitely true.
Do you say it's true for yourself that you have a tendency to be critical of yourself?
Yes, I am very critical of myself a lot of times. Maybe all the time.
Okay, this is now really precise. Disciplined and self controlled outside, you tend to be worrisome and insecure inside.
True at times.
How about this? At times you are extroverted, affable, sociable, while at other times you are introverted, very reserved.
Yeah, that so much applies to me.
Some of your aspirations tend to be pretty unrealistic.
That's true again.
Yeah, so would you say that I know you very well?
You know me very well anyway.
I know you very well, but this gives you a feeling that I know you better than other people.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel seen. But if you really think about it, these descriptions I can tell also apply to me, also probably apply to every other person you know. And the words
Right.
doing the heavy lifting here are like things like I said, some of your aspirations tend to be pretty unrealistic. Some of every person's aspiration tend to be unrealistic.
Right.
Right? You have a great need to other people to like you and admire you. Everyone wants to be liked and admired.
Right. Even if you talk about something like dreams and aspirations, I think someone who's, maybe not that well educated, doesn't have a lot of dreams and expectations career wise or in terms of earning money or anything, may, just dream about being being together with a famous actress, and they'll think of it like, oh, I have this dream and this is like an unrealistic dream. So everyone has some sort of unrealistic dreams, I suppose.
Yeah, I think, and it's in the nature of aspirations. If your dream were realistic, you would probably just go and achieve them. They won't remain dreams anymore, and you come up with new unrealistic dreams.
True that.
So yeah, and I think what many people don't realize is like just how much we have in common with other people. We are the same inside. We have the same worries, same need for aspiration, same need for being liked, same tendency to be critical of ourselves, same inner psychology, basically, same inner lives, rich inner lives.
Right.
And because we don't share that with people, I think, and when we read these, we think, oh, other people must be different. I must be like this. Other people are different because we don't share these inner lives with other people. So when we read these personality tests or astrological predictions, we think, oh, it's just for us. But we have so much more in common, so much that unites us, and so less that actually divides us.
Right. So when you say that, how should one deal with this?
Yeah, I mean,
Let's say I get there's some person who's not aware of this. Let's say my mom. My mom believes a lot in not a lot, but I have an aunt who's a lot into astrology. Even she did a couple of years of course in India. It's called Jyotishi. So she did a Jyotishi course, and my mom, when she has some sort of questions which are bothering her. For example, she's too worried about getting me married, and she would ask
like
this
every Indian aunt.
like any other Indian mom. So she would ask my aunt about when my son is going to get married, and she would do all sorts of astrology calculations and tell my mom that maybe it can happen in the next 6 months, but it's going to be very difficult. But if you try, it's still possible. I mean, that's such a vague answer, and my mom would be like, "Oh, that sounds so right."
That lady is a genius. She
Yeah,
can she can see the future.
yeah. So now this is my mom and astrology, but it could be some other person and something else. So how can one, become aware of this phenomenon and save themselves from
Yeah, I think
this
and
this bias
these
of sorts?
superstitions are so widespread in India, but I think they do serve. They can be so they're not true. These predictions are probably not true. You can see the phenomena that's happening, but they might still. I think I would suggest they still play a useful purpose. For example, it might serve to lessen the anxiety of your mom, to believe that this lady knows that there's someone who can actually see the future. It can act as a placebo effect, like medicines which don't really do anything in real, but you take them and you believe that they're working. And the very fact that you believe they're working brings out a positive psychological change in you.
Okay, so when you chose this topic for this podcast
Yeah.
or this phenomenon, what were you thinking? You were thinking of it as something positive or something that it's sort of negative and people should be aware of? What was your thinking?
Yeah, I think it is important to know the truth and separate it from falsehoods. But sometimes things are not about truth or falsity. So I think it's just like I just wanted to bring to awareness the actual nature of what is happening when someone is someone makes an astrological prediction or a personality diagnostic test. They can serve useful social purposes, but they might not be true in a metaphysical sense. So, for example, Kundli is another one, right? Like Kundli, when we have lots of Indian marriages are such a minefield of superstitions, and Kundli is one of them.
Horoscopes, you
Or
mean?
horoscopes, yeah. When the
Not
Kundli
horoscopes. Kundli, what's
Kundli
Kundli?
is basically your birth chart.
Birth chart.
And
Yeah.
in Indian arranged marriages, for those of you who don't know, there's usually a step in which the Kundli of the bride is matched with the Kundli of the groom.
Right.
And if their birth charts don't match, sometimes the marriage doesn't go forward
Right.
because the Pandit or the priest says, oh, you guys are not right for each other in the future. Mars is not with you, or Venus is not your friend, something like that.
Right.
I think what is actually happening in that is not some cosmological forces intervening and deciding your fate, but families trying to find a polite way to refuse someone who you think is not right for your daughter in a practical sense.
It could be a use case for some. They may be, using it as a tool to say no, but That's of course not true, right? There are people who actually believe in it and who actually see that the kundlis, or what do you call it, the birth charts are not matching.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. Many people just blindly follow it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. Like, I don't know how it started. Do you think the ancients actually believed in believed in planet?
How it all started, that's
Mm.
it's an interesting question. So because they talk about all these calculations and how they say how the planets are aligning to affect what's happening
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
actually,
lives.
I've always been curious. The people who practice astrology, like the pundits,
Mm-hmm.
do they actually believe in their own bullshit? Do they know that they're playing this trickery in which the other people believe these vague statements that they're making apply only to them, whereas they apply to a lot of people? Or do they know they're doing this trickery and they're probably doing it for socially useful purposes? Or do they actually believe they have the secret knowledge of the universe to predict other people's fate?
See, well, there are of course a few, many who are using it to trick people, but I think there should be a huge number of eh, priests or horoscope people. I don't know what's the right word for them, who actually
Jyotishi.
believe, jyotishi people who actually believe in it,
They believe in the.
who think there is a science behind it. And it all again circles back to this phenomenon we started with. What's the name again?
Barnum Effect.
Barnum Effect. So
Hmm.
they themselves are victims of Barnum Effect. They're studying this so-called science or art from their childhood, from their parents or whoever, and
Hmm.
they try to apply it to their own lives, to the lives of people around them, and they see that, oh, it's working. They want to believe it's working, and they are victims. They're like lifetime victims of Barnum Effect, and then they're
They're the victims of their own scam.
sort of. So yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are using it as trickery, but
Hmm.
more of them, many of them are victims
Yeah. Yeah.
themselves.
Right. Yeah. That is possibly true. I just think it's the whole thing is a sham. And let me read out some other predictions of your personality.
Yeah, so apart from astrology, I think we talked a lot about astrology. What are other areas through which this Barnum effect is applicable?
Other
Other things
areas.
in everyday life we should be aware of, where we are victims of Barnum
I think
effect.
the personality test is another one. Is a big one.
Right.
Especially these surveys that BuzzFeed polls that you give and which tell you what Harry Potter character are you or something like
What friend's character you are.
what friend's character are you. I think that's an example because
No, but
there's a little bit of Snape in each all of us. And there's a bit of Harry Potter in all of us, a bit of Hermione in all of us. And when we read that description, oh, you are this and this, you are this and this, we identify that part in ourselves that align with that description, not realizing that everyone probably has that part.
right. Everyone has a joy in them, no matter how smart you are.
Yeah, just like if I tell you, for example, I'm just reading another question that this psychologist researcher came up with.
Hmm.
Um, so let me read. Just give me a moment. So you have a great deal of unused capacity which you have not turned to your advantage.
Right. I so believe in this.
I so believe in it, and I'm sure, like, if you ask a Nobel laureate or an Olympic athlete this question,
Yeah, so would Usain Bolt say the same, that he still has a lot of unused capacity? What do you think?
I think he would. Yeah, I think imposter. This is like another. This goes back to another psychological phenomena, the imposter syndrome.
Isn't imposter syndrome the exact opposite of this? So imposter syndrome would be something like, oh, I'm already achieving more than my capabilities. Well,
Hmm.
this thing is about, oh, I still have a lot of unused potential.
Yeah, I think. Um, the way I was thinking about it is like a person. Imposter syndrome is about, oh, you are not at the level yet. You are still an idiot. And I think people, even who are very intelligent, believe they're still an idiot. People who are high level of sport have a high level of sporting excellence still believe they're not at that level, that they're not there yet. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think it's that, like, even if Usain Bolt might have set the world record in 100 meters, but he would still think he's not there yet.
Yeah, he still wants to be,
Even
after
better.
after retiring from athletics, he wanted to be a footballer. He tried his hand, or tried his leg, you should rather say, at a club, a football club in Germany, I think, or somewhere in Europe. So which shows that, somewhere in his heart he wanted to be a footballer, maybe a great footballer. So
Yeah. I think, yeah, and like Usain Bolt might, even then maybe, yeah, you might have picked an exception. For example, we can think of like Donald Trump. Donald Trump probably would think that he's the greatest. He doesn't have any unused capacity at all.
right.
Or like Zlatan Ibrahimovic, or like some very arrogant footballer who thinks they're the best. They have achieved their potential and they're the best.
Even they would think that they have some unused potential.
They might think. Oh yes, they might think, because that gives them perception of even achieving more greatness. But like, I think the point is that it applies to a majority of the people, that they think that they have unused capacity. It doesn't have to be every single person, but as long as it applies to majority of people, like, effect is there.
Right. Okay. But I think what I would want to discuss further is, how can you rather, one, either how can you, exploit this effect to your own benefit, and two, how can you, save yourself from getting duped, or, saving yourself from any kind of loss because of this effect.
Yeah. Just to answer your first question, how can you exploit it? I just thought of one example. I think you remember Apple's famous marketing campaign,
Which one? The 1984?
the 1984 one, which says, "Here's to the crazy one, the Mavericks, the unconventional thinkers."
Oh, that's not the 1984 campaign. That's
That's
like
1997, right?
That's the late 90s, yeah.
Yeah,
87.
like, think different.
Right. They
I
had all
think
these
that was I think a good example of the Barnum effect.
Right.
Right? It says, "Here to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes." That's how it starts. The one who sees things differently. I think
Right.
reading it, I feel like, oh, he's talking about me. I am the misfit. I am the unconventional thinker.
Right.
Because no one likes saying, "Oh no, I am just the conventional, the boring one. I fit in. I don't see things differently."
Yeah, in fact, this song, I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo. What's that? What?
Radiohead.
Radiohead.
Yeah.
Whenever I've played this song for the first time in front of a friend, they've always said, "Oh, I relate to this song so much. This song is so much about myself." And I felt the same when I heard this song, and I think deep down everyone thinks that
They are different, then
they're
unique
different,
and
or
special.
they're a weirdo. Because deep down we are still the child, we're still the 4 year old child we were, and because of the constructs the society has created, we are trying to show the so-called mature artificial side of ourselves, but in the end we are still the child we were.
Yeah, and everyone is. Isn't that strange? Everyone thinks they are the outlier. So if everyone is an outlier, who is the normal one?
I know,
And
right?
I think that's the Barnum effect in play, because when you call someone weird, that description is vague enough to apply to everyone.
Yeah, of course.
But everyone is weird in a different way.
Yeah.
And a good observer of your personality can be very specific about who you are, and that would not apply to everyone. But the word weird itself, or the crazy itself, is vague enough that everyone relates to it.
Right.
So I think, yeah, that's you. So the Barnum effect can be exploited for like marketing purposes, making a customer feel special, as if I have this company sees me as I am.
Right.
And what was your other question?
The other question
How
was
to put
how can you save yourself from the negative effects of Barnum
from
effect,
save yourself from being fooled
from
by
being fooled,
scammers,
fooled,
by
deceived.
yeah.
I mean, doesn't necessarily have to be someone trying to fool you and you have to save yourself. I mean, it can be anything where no one is consciously applying Barnum effect on you.
Hmm. Um, I don't know whether I want to be. I want to be. Do you want to be saved from the Barnum effect? Because it makes you feel special. It's a
Depends.
good feeling. Like I'm remembering this quote by some writer who said, love consists in overestimating the difference between one woman from another.
Sorry, say it again.
Love is overestimating the difference between one person and another. It's like when you fall in love with one person, you think they're so different from the other person,
From other people,
from other
basically.
people. And when you feel seen by someone, when you feel loved by someone, you feel like they are the one who get you and not others. Whereas they might just be making general statements. Oh, you look so beautiful. You are so this. You are so that.
Right. So sometimes it's better to be victims of Barnum effect.
To feel special,
So-called
if
victims
you want to
of,
feel special.
right. So instead of trying to avoid it, you should
I'm
rather
just raising
embrace
the
it.
question. I'm not saying that it. I'm just discussing.
No, but I agree
Yeah,
with you. Had I not agreed, I would have something to say
yeah.
against it. But I think it makes a lot of sense.
Like your mom, right? When
Mm-hmm.
she gets that advice from her aunt, from her sister, sorry, uh, from that astrologer friend,
Yeah.
basically, and she probably feels special. She probably feels less alone. She probably
She
feels
feels calm.
she feels calm. It's
She gets an answer.
yeah, yeah. But I think otherwise, like in a broader sense, the way to save yourself would be to just develop critical awareness and an awareness of how most of us are just the same. And everyone who tries to make you feel as if you are very special is probably wants something from you in terms of money or some love or something like that.
Right. That makes sense.
How are we doing for time? We have 6 more minutes.
Hmm.
Do you have any other examples of Barnum effect from your personal experience?
I have to think about it.
I mean, there are other kinds of personality tests, like Myers Briggs, for example. You know, those INFP,
INTJ.
ENTJ, or something like. People strongly
Yes.
believe in that stuff, actually.
Yeah.
Do you believe in that?
Hmm. Sort of. I mean, you could be an INTJ or ENTP or whatever for a given period of time in your life, and then you may switch to something else after that. So, for a given point of time in your life, you could be.
Or you don't think the test is generic enough to apply to a wide range? Anyone can be an IFP.
Actually, it can. Your answers can depend on your mood at that time. and that can sway the results of your Myers-Briggs test. It's possible, right?
Yeah. Does that happen with you?
I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
I've just tried taking this test once, a couple of years ago maybe.
Right.
So I don't have a lot to say about this test.
Yeah, for me, I think so. I think for me, many times it says INFP, but sometimes it says INTP. But I think like introversion, extroversion itself is not like a fixed rate. Everyone has an introvert part. Everyone has an extrovert part. Some people probably have not explored their extrovert part, or it only comes out with specific groups of people. Um,
That's true.
But I think it would just be on the border. It might have some predictability. So it's not, because it's not as vague. Introvert and extrovert have specific attributes, and most people identify as one or the other. We can't all be introverts and we can't all be extroverts.
But we do have we are part introvert and part extrovert, right?
So if I were to make an astrological prediction about you, or like a personality test prediction about you, and I say you are an introvert, I think that's too specific. I don't think that would be Barnum Effect in play. But if I say you are sometimes introvert and you are sometimes extrovert, I would be tricking you, because that statement is true all the time for all the people.
Yeah, or things like you get angry a lot of times, but most of those times you know how to control your anger.
Yeah, that would be a Barnum Effect. That's a well.
That sounds specific.
Did you just make that up?
No, I've heard this. I've heard this.
Yeah.
I've heard this. Some astrologer told this to someone. I forgot exactly whose story it is, but yeah, this is some specific.
I think it's another thing. Like if the statement has a positive spin, it says something positive about you. You're like, yes, that's about me. If it says something negative, it's like, no, that's not me.
Yeah, that's true.
So if I say, oh, sometimes you show great courage, you'll be like, yes, that is me. I remember that courageous time. And that's not, you would believe not only that it's you, but you would also believe that it's only you.
Right.
Anything else to discuss
No.
on this? Okay, we are done with Barnum Effect.